The Skool DM strategy that creates partnerships is a three-step system that allows you to book more calls, which create more partnerships. And this is how I was able to book over 100 calls in the last month. And whether you're just getting started with outreach or you're already doing massive launch, this actually works. Because over my 2 years on Skool, I've seen so many schoolers be left on red because they're writing like so long paragraphs, or they're pitching at the wrong time, or they ultimately let the conversation die because there is no follow up. And I want to make sure that you're really mastering the art of chatting. And for that, I have created the Jedi Academy, in which I'm going through the core skills on how you can attract as a knight, you can convert as a ninja, and you can deliver as a wizard. So we are currently in the ninja conversion skills, and chatting is the first skill here. And for that, I have 3 specific milestones that you can check to see how far you have come to master the skill already. And I'll be revealing them at the end of the video. But why should you listen to me? Well, let me introduce myself. Hello there. I'm Luke, the networking wizard, and I've been on Skool for over the past 2 years, and I've been working with some of the biggest Skool communities, thinking about partnerships, collaborating, and ultimately helping with 350K launches, training operators who are having similar success with their launches through partnerships as well. And I have been in the top 3 within the Skool games. So all of this allows me to have a pretty good understanding on how to create the best partnerships through conversations. And this is what we're covering today in the video, specifically the mindset for the conversations, the chat flow, as well as different systems that you can use to generate more partnerships. So let's start with the mindset. And I like to think of the mindset of Han Solo, because he is ultimately this like ninja that allows to form all of these different partnerships. And in the beginning, the first aspect is really trust, because when looking for a partnership, we want to make sure that we are aligned on having the same vision. So we know we're going in the same direction. We have similar values. So we are not sacrificing something that would not be willing to sacrifice. And we're ultimately taking care on having alignment also how we're getting there, not just where we're getting. And then the third piece is being vulnerable. And this is one of the best ways to build trust and saying it's like, hey, this is where I'm good at, but this is also where I'm weak at. And I think this is where we can start really working together, because when we show up our own weaknesses and we say that we complement each other's strengths, then that is a really solid foundation for a strong partnership. So once we have this initial trust, the second aspect on the mindset is really speed. We want to be able to respond as quickly as possible, ideally within 5 minutes, because when we respond within a 5 minute window, then the potential partner is already like, they are still thinking about us. We are still on top of their mind, and we can have a conversation that keeps on going, which ultimately builds even more trust and allows us to create a deeper connection. Otherwise, like responding within an hour is also still solid, because then it's like, oh yeah, okay, like maybe you've been in a call, so very reasonable and like still extremely fast to respond within 1 hour. And at the latest, I would try to always respond within 24 hours, because if we really want to show that we are reliable and we want to work together with someone within the partnership, then making sure that we have a fast response rate within 24 hours is one of the key aspects that we can show that people can trust us and we are really there to support them. The third piece is volume, because ultimately we don't know what kind of partnerships are going to work out. And I would always continue to looking for more, because relying on just one partner to cover all of our cost is a bit ambitious. So that's why I like to just send out a lot of messages. And I think there are 3 difficulties. So if you're getting started, you can start by just sending 10 messages per day. The medium difficulty would be 30, and then like the hard difficulty is 90 messages per day. And if you are consistently doing this, it just becomes unreasonable for you to not succeed and find a partnership that works for you, especially if you're just keeping the overall mindset in mind. So with that, we have now the actual chat flow on where we are taking our partners on the journey. So this is a little bit like inviting them to our spaceship, and we're like, hey, like I'll be able to get you to the destination guaranteed. So when we are starting with this, I love to use the AAA framework where we acknowledge where people are coming from. Ideally, we've already interacted with them through the comments and through some posts, so they already know us, and we can build on top of that. And it's like, hey, saw your comment, wanted to like move this to the chat, and then they understand why we're reaching out to them, because otherwise it feels a little bit random. Then we want to add value and show it's like, hey, we have done our homework, we have done our research, we know what is valuable to you, and here is something. So this can be a resource, this can be like a call that we had with one of their community members. This can be a suggestion on how to improve their community. And these are the things that really add value. And then we want to ask and really understand where they're coming from. And this now jumps us to the qualification, because when we are looking for partnerships, there are different levels to that. And the first thing that I always want to understand is like, what is the rank of that person? Because based on that rank, we understand, are they ahead of us? So they are like more competent. They already have a business that is like way further ahead. Or are they like at our level, or are they potentially behind us? Because based on that, we understand where our position is and whether we should offer a service or maybe offer a coaching. So that's why understanding where are they in terms of rank is really important for the qualification. The second aspect I like to think about is the role. So what is their role within the community, within the business? Are they more focusing on marketing? Are they more focused on the conversion side of things? Or are they more focused on the delivery? And based on that, we understand how we can provide more value, because ideally we want to support them in an area that they are not as strong at. So that's how I'm thinking about finding a gap. And this is like the rift. We want to identify something that is not working as well within their community. And there are like certain practices, and like maybe they are not getting enough members in there. Maybe they are not booking enough calls. Maybe they are not getting the results and they have like a super high churn. So all of these things are indicators, and these are painful aspects that if we can identify that and we offer help around this, which complements their role and their position, then we have a really strong case to go deeper into the connection. So this is where we want to bridge this rift from where they currently are and where they want to be, and we become the bridge that helps them get there. So once we've identified that and they agree that this is a bridge that they would potentially be interested in walking over, I'm not saying that they should walk over us, but I think you still get the message. Then it's about booking a call to see if it actually makes sense to go further with this partnership. And here it's really important to like bump this up, not necessarily just saying like, hey, bumping this up, but again, going back to the start, acknowledging what happened, adding more value, and then asking a question to like reconfirm the booking, because sometimes things just get lost. And instead of just like lazily bumping this up and mentioning it's like, hey, there is something, I would always try to add more value to that and then reconvince them. It's like, hey, this is actually a really good partnership, and every interaction is just filled with value. So this is the conversation flow that worked very well for me and for the partners that I've worked with in the past. And this works well when like to a certain degree, but especially when you're working with a partner who's ahead, we really want to think about systems. So this is like our spaceship that we are building and we are creating potentially for our partner to make sure that things are more aligned. And the first aspect here is tracking. So how are we tagging different people? So there are different tools within Skool, from Wingman to Scoot CRM to Fiducia, and there are like multiple of these plugins that allow you to tag people and assign different emojis based on where they're at. And here we can really think about like, what rank are there? What role are there? what problem do they have? And based on that, we clearly understand, okay, where are they at? And from there on, we'll start to identify an ideal target and people that we want to work more with. Because in the beginning, I like to think of partnerships as like anyone that we can help. And as we work with more and more people, we start noticing it's like, oh, I really like to work with these kind of people that have that kind of problem, that are strong in these specific areas because I know I can help them way more than someone else who has like maybe a similar skill set. So over time, we can just understand who our ideal targets are. And the third aspect on the tracking is a timeline. Because when we are talking with our ideal targets, the timing isn't always right. Maybe they would be a potential partner in the future, but we still want to keep touch with them. So we need to understand that the timeline is just not there, but still keeping up with that. And that also goes into the follow ups and the nurture sequence. Because when we're generally following up with someone who we can help right now, then I like to follow up within like 24 hours. Then after 3 days, and then after 7 days. Because otherwise, it feels a little bit obnoxious to like have all of these follow-ups. And again, I would always think about having the acknowledge, add value, ask sequence throughout the follow-ups because this makes the chance of them responding much higher, and they'll see that it's like, hey, we left off the conversation halfway. So for people who are currently at the right timeline, I would use this follow-up sequence. But sometimes people are not at that right journey, and we know it's like, oh, this is someone that I'll be able to help in the future. And this is then someone that I would put in the nurture sequence. So here I like to have a nurture either like once a month, after 3 months, or after 9 months, depending on like the timeline and how close they are for us to work with them. Because based on that, we'll be able to really help people in the future and keep them warm and understand where they are while making sure that the current partnerships that we are working on are still like we are still on their radar. Um, and we are able to like understand like, okay, we continue to refine this, and throughout this system we are much better equipped to ultimately bookmark calls. So in terms of the actual achievements and the quests that I suggest you to think about and like to show how far you have mastered the skill of chatting, I like to think of the easy, when you've booked like 10 discovery calls, medium being like 30 discovery calls to see if this partnerships works well. Or when you've like truly mastered the skill, you can say it's like, hey, I've booked like over 90 discovery calls. And the way that I build this up is when you're part of the Jedi Academy, we can check these things off. And based on that, we see we are actually gaining progress and experience points as we kind of complete this. And I personally love this to visually see our progress and actually level up within this game, because that's what it's really about, to understand what kind of skills we have. And that's why I like to do in the Jedi Academy. So I hope you found this valuable. I'm excited for you to master the skill of chatting and ultimately book more calls to find more partnerships. And next time we'll be going deeper into the discovery. So I'm already excited for that. And until then, enjoy the journey and peace.